Everybody, it's Carm here. I'm coming to you on a Tuesday afternoon. Unseasonably warm day here. First day of November. I guess Indian summer is here, at least for now. Probably about low 70s. Really nice, very pleasant. Got off work unexpectedly early today, and felt like coming on and doing a response to another response video to Fred's Gimme Ten series. Now into the 80s, 1983. I think I'd done a couple of them, and the last one I did was from 75. So I had these. I knew I wanted to do this at some point. I picked these out the other day. I think out of all of the responses I've done so far, this might be perhaps the most narrowly focused music-wise, or maybe style-wise, but format-wise, it's all over the place. Vinyl, cassette, and CD. So I'll just start right in with a couple of cassettes here. Mystic Memories by Robert Slapp. Back when the very early days of what's known as New Age music, when they're actually labeling it as such. Really nice, kind of a quirky, do-it-yourself kind of album. Sounds like a home recording. I did a video very early on when I first started my channel on Valley of the Sun cassettes, the label this is from, and I showed this and maybe 15 or 20 others. But this is back when it was, seemingly on a shoestring budget, made with a couple synthesizers and some guitars, and it's just kind of a quirky, charming, not what you would expect. It's I wouldn't say avant-garde at all, but it's very, it's pleasant, but not. It doesn't have that kind of saccharine aspect the stereotype of this sort of thing. But real enjoyable. We've had this for many years, and I think this is actually his first album. He did quite a few albums for the label afterwards. And next one, similar vein, the same label, Galactic Odyssey by Celestial Odysseys, which I think was just one person. This one is even quirkier and more kind of raw, do-it-yourself-at-home, experimental with synthesizers and drum machine. This was particularly fun, kind of trippy, very much of its time. Something about these two tapes in particular, I tend to play them on my birthday, which is coming up in a few weeks, but I dig out a few old tapes of mine and I just play them on that day, and these are among them. I don't think there's very few of these that have been reissued on CD, and I don't think any of them ever came out on vinyl. It was a cassette-only label for a few years before CDs, but these two in particular are very rare and cassette only. So there might be a little bit of them on YouTube, but some of these on the label. But I don't know about these in particular, but. If you see these around for a decent price, I'd get them, because they're, even if you're not into the music as much, they're definitely collector's items, and very worth finding. Okay, now on to some CDs. An all-time favorite album here, which gets pulled out every autumn for sure. Michael Galasso, Scenes. Absolutely wonderful solo violin overdub. This is one of those albums way back when I found it. I wasn't even aware of it, and this artist he's only subsequently made one more album for the label in recent years, I think, like in the last 5 or 6 years. Recorded in October of '82, came out in '83, and I'd wondered, at the time you could definitely hear a Philip Glass quality to it, and I later found that he played with Philip Glass for some time. You could hear the influence, but he's also very original, a very distinctive sound. Really good driving music, I find, especially at this time of year, the turning colors. But just has a very mesmerizing quality to it, very haunting, and it's probably definitely somewhere in my top 10, if not top 5 ECMs, along with Hotel Hello, Trance, others. It's just gorgeous. Highly recommended, as all these are. Now, I showed this one on vinyl not long ago, but I couldn't locate it. I must have misfiled it. EOS, Terry Ripdahl, and David Darling. Guitar and cello duets. I had showed this for... I did a thread some time ago. Show an album in which the first song sounds nothing like the rest of the album, and it's definitely exemplary on this one. Laser. And the first piece is kind of searing electric guitar. Very good, but it sounds nothing like the rest of the album. The rest of the album really sounds like the cover. It's kind of very serene, almost like you're hearing the music through a kind of a gauze or something. You know, very foggy and reflective and introspective. Absolutely gorgeous album. And yeah, this is another essential autumn spin for sure. But yeah, just beautiful, and yeah, I think one of the best. Again, another standout in the in the vast catalog, ECM. So yeah, fantastic. Another old favorite here, an artist I know I've featured before, Michael Garrison, Point of Impact. I've only actually been able to find, I think, 2 of his albums on LP and the rest on CD. This, I think, might have been the 2nd or 3rd album I picked up of his. A very patented sound. A lot of his albums kind of have a sameness to them with the rhythm and the equipment he uses, but you know, it's very consistent. It was kind of reminding me too about, well, I think he used analog synthesizers throughout, you know, his playing days up until even into the 90s, incorporating digital and analog. But I was thinking how it seemed like between 83 and 84 there seemed to be kind of a break in you know, the synthesis. There were still analog synthesizers being used by 84, but it seemed like by then, you know, a lot of people had really discontinued it. It made such a leap in that time, the digital technology, that a lot of the older ones were left behind. But he was among those who kept the kept the analog flame burning. So yeah, an all-time favorite artist, and great album, very atmospheric and upbeat at the same time. So yeah, an old favorite, someone still quite unheralded, I feel. And speaking of someone who I feel is unheralded, onto the vinyl here, Jim Pepper, Coming and Going. Just a fantastic musician. I think during his lifetime, great saxophonist and composer. I think during his lifetime, and even since he's long since passed, I think almost 25 years now, I think 1992. Passed away sadly very, very young. I don't think he's ever quite got the due, you know, his due credit. Such a distinctive voice, literally his vocals and saxophone and his compositions, and all the people he played with. You have John Scofield on guitar here, Kenny Werner piano, Hamid Drake on drums, a wonderful drummer. But of course you have Cadona, all members, Colin Walcott, tabla, Nada Vasconcelos percussion, and of course Don Cherry himself plays some trumpet on here. Bill Frisell's on here, Danny Gottlieb on drums is on here, and all the compositions, all the pieces are great. Yeah, Wichita Toe, of course, kind of his standout number. Squaw Song, Coming and Going, that's a really nice one. Lakota Song, Water. Melanea, Custer Gets It. That's a Don Cherry tune, Melanea. Yeah, just fantastic playing all around, and he does a lot of solo chanting, you know, American Indian chanting. Yeah, my grandfather, Ralph Pepper, full-blood Kaw Indian, who gave me stories and a knowledge of my heritage. Father Gilbert, who gave me skills in music and dance and who believed in me. Yeah, just I'd say if you're just going to pick up one album of his, you know, just as a primer, you know, this would be, you know, the one to get. Yeah, I couldn't say enough good things about him. Anytime I see him on a recording or anything with his name on it, I want to get it. And yeah, I've never been disappointed. There was a wonderful documentary, I think it's called Pepper's Powwow, named after an album of his. I have it on, I have it taped somewhere. I taped it off of PBS a long time ago. I don't know if it's ever been reissued though, but I'd highly recommend that too as a documentary of him. Just fantastic. Another all-time favorite, an artist who I've featured before, Ray Lynch, Sky of Mind, his first album. This is was a Music West reissue. Yeah, it came out in '83, and this is the '86 reissue. Another highly original artist, a wonderful blend of electronic, synthesizer, and acoustic chamber music. What's really interesting about this is that each piece of music is linked by Tibetan bells. So as one piece ends and decays, you have Tibetan bells coming in, kind of linking the pieces, which kind of has that mix of East and West. There you have Van Tan Ngoyen on Tibetan bells. Ray Lynch himself plays synthesizer, piano, and guitar. You have flute, recorders, tambura, cello, and violin, as well as some choral voices. Yeah, just absolutely soul-stirring. His later work was known as being a little more poppy and upbeat, like Deep Breakfast and No Blue Thing, which are wonderful albums too, but this is the highly meditative, introspective, very haunting, and something I enjoy all year round and have for many, many years. And yeah, it's just an eternal, timeless classic, I feel, and highly recommend it to anyone. If again, the thing with what's known as new age music, people see the term and it kind of turns them off, or they have get the wrong impression about it, or maybe a misguided impression about it. And a lot of it probably has to do with the way it was marketed. But he's someone who lumped into that category, for better or for worse, I feel, is one of the exemplary people, and this would be a great intro to him and the music in general. So yeah, absolutely love it. Another all-time classic, which I know several people have showed this, including Fred himself, I think, and sung its praises. Vapor Drawings, Mark Isham. If you're just going to get one of his albums, I think this would be the one. A great blend of synthesizers, trumpet, and percussion. The Steiner Evie, electronic valve instrument, kind of like the Lyricon or Iwi. Yeah, every song in here is wonderful. I think one of my personal favorites is Men Before the Mirror. Just a very lilting piece. The way he uses synthesizers on here, it's just so evocative, and a lot like the cover, just very beautiful and shimmering, and very internal, timeless music, but also it just communicates something that's just very it just kind of goes beyond words. But yeah, it's an all-time favorite. And again, I'm talking about that year in which the technology, kind of before the technology took a further leap into the digital. This is a great example of kind of just before it made that break. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And a couple more here. Yearning in Harmony, Triatma with Klaus Netzel. I have a few albums by this group, which is a combination of German and an Indian musician. This is personally my favorite. I think later on they got into maybe more of a pop vein, or maybe not quite as distinctive, but this one's very beautiful. Again, kind of like in some ways it could be almost like a more upbeat version of what Ray Lynch was doing. Beautiful mix of Eastern and Western without being too derivative. You have guitar, bass, vocals, tablas, vocals. There's synclavier on here. Yeah, recorded '82, came out in '83. And you can see there the combination of instruments there. I just painted wonderful colors with them. The piece Microcosmos is an all-time favorite. First hearing it on Starstreams, of course, way back when. But the whole album's a really nice blend, of being again introspective and upbeat. This Al's quote here I always thought was kind of funny. This little blurb: an effervescent fusion of buoyant Eastern rhythms and electronic popular music, danceable, hummable, enjoyable, probably some of the happiest music to come from Germany in several hundred years. I just thought that was kind of, is this the only one or the first one? That was just kind of a funny line, but yeah, another one. I think several of these are pretty easy to find. You could find them pretty cheap in the bins if you're out and about, or even online. Probably pretty easy to come by. And I've seen several copies of this over the years, pretty cheap, but yeah, very much recommended. And for the final one here, now I know, taking a page out of Fred's book, I know he tends to show for his final album one that's maybe a little more uncharacteristic or incongruous for what he might normally be into or what you would expect him to show. Well, this one is certainly, for those of you who know my taste, you might be a little surprised by this. Wang Chung, Points on the Curve. I absolutely love this album. I gotta be honest, I really do. It's kind of a group that just about everyone knows. I guess you could say pop rock with maybe new wave aspects, or the other way around. I'm not quite sure, but it's just something. Of course, who hasn't heard Dance Hall Days from? I remember when it came out in the video, and being a little kid, and just how infectious it was. And getting the tape, something like, I don't know, 1990 or 91. And I think to me every song on this is good, and it's just, again, it's so uncharacteristic. Not something it seems like any other group, or I wouldn't be as interested, but for some reason it just it resonates here, even after all this time. And yeah, out of all the pop or otherwise, this is a very an album that's high on my list, and has been for a long time. So yeah, and again, you could find it as easily as anything else. So yeah, Wang Chung. I like their To Live and Die in LA soundtrack, and the title tune very much too, but this album as a whole, I just like the whole thing, and it's yeah, just a great pop classic. So yeah, just wanted to come on and do that response. It had been a while since I'd done one, again against the mid-70s, and yeah, I was glad to see that Fred extended it into the 80s, because there's of course a lot of worthwhile things, and yeah, we'll see. Another year I might come up with another response. So yeah, hope we're all well, and hopefully the weather's still pleasant wherever you're at, and colors are still vibrant, and well, until next time, peace, love, and joy.